Something is happening right now inside the crypto markets. And if you don't change this one thing, I promise you, you're risking losing everything inside of this crypto markets and giving everything back that you have worked so hard for, trenching or leverage trading the markets. Now, it's not just me saying this.
What's my net worth? Big enough to not work, small enough to where I can't spend money like I used to. I can't light money on fire anymore. Am I eight figures? No, dude. If I were still eight, not after taxes, I'm gonna be fucked. No. I'm in pain. I'm in agony. I need to actually win again. I'm doing horrific right now. What was my peak? More. It was fucking more. I don't want to think about my peak. Let's not ask about my peak. I could have just stopped trading at my peak. I literally could have just, I don't know, sailed off into the sunset, done whatever. But if you make money as a degenerate at your peak, you will still be a degenerate. You can't just eliminate the degenerate out of your DNA. So naturally, I gambled all my fucking money.
This is Gainsey, one of the biggest traders of the last cycle. And you can see that he's struggling right now, as are a lot of traders and a lot of VCs. Even if you are a meme coin degenerate and you had a lot of success pre-Trump, it's likely that you have noticed that something is different inside of this market. And we're going to get to the bottom of it inside of this video. And I'm also going to give you some tips and tricks that you can do. In fact, some tricks and tips that people are saying inside of the comments, it's things like understanding your mindset and habits, taking profits this cycle. Take profits based on token performance, maybe how to keep profits. These things are great, but how do you actually do it in this stage of the market? Or what about if you have no money and you're still trying to have success? A lot we have to cover. It's going to be a long video for sure. So make sure that you have a coffee, put this on the side while you're trenching or while you're looking at the charts, because this is going to change your mindset. First, in my opinion, what we have to be looking at whenever it comes to trading meme coins is the fear and greed index. Now, you can have a look at the fear and greed index in multiple ways. One of the methods is to use the coin market cap option. I'll show you like this for now, and then we'll have a look at a more deeper option as well. So you can see since 2023, whenever we get into extreme greed, it's been a time to sell. Whenever we get into extreme fear, it's been a time to buy. You can actually see when we hit the extreme fear mark over here, it was a perfect time to be buying Bitcoins. And then when we get into extreme greed, there's always been the perfect time to sell. Now, many people, they know this, they see this, you probably know this, but do you move your portfolio in these ways? I'll give you an example. We're getting into the greed right now. I'm already moving a lot of my portfolio back into the stable coins. Even though I haven't had crazy amounts of success in this recent run up, it's fine. I know that preserving capital and staying in the game long run and just having more money is going to always give me more opportunities in the future. If we have a look at our more advanced version, you can see on Glassnode, which is the free version, so it's only going to show you older data. If you do want more recent data, you have to go for the paid option. But we're getting wrecked in the trenches, right? So we can't afford that right now. But what you can see is that inside of the fear and greed index, you can actually see that whenever we get into the blue range, extreme greed, it's always been a top for Bitcoin. So to explain this chart to you simply, light blue or cold is a time to sell, hot or red is a time to buy. And it's always been very good for the macro. So this is if you're looking in terms of months, not in terms of hours as we do in meme coins. When you have a look at this, you'll see that when we are in extreme fear, it's been a bottom. When we're in extreme greed, it's been a top. And we actually had extreme greed during the 100K top of Bitcoin. And then we had extreme fear when we started to dip towards 70K. And then now, obviously, we're seeing a bounce back into the greed range as well. Now, just because we have extreme greed doesn't mean that we're instantly going to enter a bear market. What you're seeing in this phase in your 2017 saga going into 2021, we had extreme greed, extreme fear, and then back into extreme greed again. We actually had this mini top, which is what I think we're experiencing right now. Where we have this mini top over here. I'll zoom over across a little bit, and then we'll expand it over to the end of 2021. You can see we have this mini top. Then we go into extreme fear, or into like some area of like high fear, very warm, and then we go very cold again, into like extreme euphoria. Many people say that we have seen euphoria because of Trump. In my opinion, I don't think that was euphoria. I think that was euphoria for meme coins. But if you have a look at Gainsey, for example, most VCs, for example, most of the market, for example, they have not experienced any type of euphoria. Show me, if you have been inside of meme coins, or outside of meme coins, sorry, where have you experienced euphoria? No one's euphoric. In fact, they're all wrecked. If you've been inside of Ethereum, if you've been holding Ethereum the whole way, you've not, they didn't even show the data, right? That's how wrecked Ethereum holders are. They don't even have the data of extreme fear and greed. It has just been wrecked. Just fear the whole way. So I don't think we've had macro euphoria yet. Meme coins, even though they are big inside of our echo chamber, I think it's a small stage of the overall market. So I do think there is a chance. That doesn't mean that I'm taking massive risk. I'm already in a lot of stable coins, but I do understand that the overall market hasn't been euphoric yet. So that does give us an opportunity to take advantage of. The next thing that you need to have a look at is Bitcoin. Now, you need to understand, especially if you trade meme coins, that Bitcoin leads the overall market. So stop ignoring it every single day and just logging into meme scope, for example, to try to hit a lick. You need to remember to consistently check the Bitcoin price, especially if you're in meme coins. Altcoin holders, you guys watching this, you guys already know this. But believe me, there's another side of this where there's some people that don't even know what Bitcoin even is. They've never read the white paper, and they just, only look at it whenever it's up or whenever it's wrecked. They don't look at it every single day. It's important that you do, because it's going to foreshadow the rest of the market. When we was in this stage of, January, February, when Trump launched a meme, well, we see in that BTC started to go down. Even though we see in Solana have its little pump, when BTC is pulling back like this, it's a foreshadow for you to get out of the market. It's what I posted inside of my Telegram group, that we're going to go all into stable coins, and we've cashed out. We hit an absolute lick. Since then, you've seen us go into this extreme fear range, where many people said that this was the actual bear market. And I showed you guys that it's not. It's exactly the same as what we've seen here. And it's exactly the same as what we've seen here last cycle. So I did believe that we will see a little pump, and up to your surprise, we did see a little pump. The question is, do we break all-time high? I don't have a crystal ball. If I knew that we're going to break all-time high, I'd be on a 50x leverage long with like $5 million right now, because I'm a genius. Most people, I'm promising you guys right now, have no clue whether BTC is going to break up or break out. They either have a good entry from the original breakout over here where we break the downtrend, or they're simply just capping, right? Just capping. I'll show you a good video about those cappers soon. So you have to just remember that we're at a resistance level. So it's not good to be extremely bullish here. You must reprogram your mind to be bullish in these ranges and start to be careful in these ranges when we're approaching a high, right? Again, be bullish in these ranges when we're at a bottom, and be careful here. Don't be max bullish now. You're late to the party. You should have been max bullish here. And that's how you make money, right? So make sure you keep this open, and also use an indicator called the pi cycle indicator. I've explained this a lot on my channel, but it doesn't tend to be, historically it hasn't been a bear market until we have this pi cycle top indicator. So I still think that we are highly likely, as just one of the many indicators, that we will see higher in terms of Bitcoin. Maybe this is a delayed cycle, or like a longer cycle, but I do think that we will see Bitcoin break to 140s and 150s eventually. I don't know if it's going to be on this specific attempt. It is already 3 attempts. Maybe we come back down again to 95 to get everyone scared before Trump comes with some special announcements and sends us to Valhalla. Now, if you do want to make money, because that is step 1, right? Analyze the overall market. Step 2 is you have to understand about managing your portfolio. Most people don't manage their overall portfolio, which is why they get wrecked. And I was a mistake of this originally too. I made a lot of money in this cycle here, and I gave literally 90% of it back during the bear market simply because I didn't understand this one key concept. Like this run up here, I backed the bounce. I made a lot of money on the run up where it's a price cycle top. I backed the bounce down here. I made it all again here. And I rode all those bags all the way to zero over here. Like some of the bags I had were at $500,000. And then by the time we were at the bottom, it was at $5,000. I think you can imagine how deep that L was. That's like having a big Pop Cat or Griffin holding right now. Maybe you hold a lot of Trump. And then when the market, by the time the market gets to the bottom, you're wrecked. And I can assure you now that many people will still be bullish at this phase. Many people will still be bullish at this phase. So by the time you know it's a bear market and people have finally came to the mass consensus that it's a bear market, it's already too late. Your bags are already down 90%. What you want to do is you want to be conservative at this stage. You want to be conservative at this stage. Well, where are we now? Right? Who would have thought? We're at this stage. Even if you haven't made as much money as you want to, you have to remember that it's better to take something back than nothing back. Right? Even if you had a tough cycle, right? This cycle has not been easy. A lot of people are wrecked. It's better to at least take something back than nothing back. And again, if we break up and we go higher, who cares, right? We're going to make money either way. We can leverage trade. We can catch a meme coin. Anything can happen, right? We can make a lot of money naturally in a few days. So that's my ideology. When we're at these top stages, I'm reducing risk. I'm not holding all my bags in Solana. I'm not holding all my bags in ETH. It's in USDC, USDT, and it's just staying there. I have no interest in taking maximum risk at this level. Here, I will start to take risk naturally. Here, I won't take as much risk naturally. Okay. Even though when we look at DeFi Llama right now, and we look at the volume, if you guys don't use DeFi Llama, I recommend you do. This website is going to show you the DEX volume for Solana. You can see this metric shows you the total value, which is the amount of money on Solana. And it also shows you the DEX volume, which is how much people are trading on decentralized exchanges, you know, Jupiter, Axiom, GMGN, whatever, Bonkbot, right? All these different ways of trading, you will see that that volume gets tallied up here. And it also helps you for trenching. When you're trenching meme coins, you know that when the volume's high, that you're going to see more 20 mil runners. When the volume's low, it's unlikely that you'll see more 20 mil runners. So with that being said, you can see that something different is happening right now. If you have a look, this blue line being the TVL is actually at 30 billion, which is very, very high. And the volume is only at 4 billion. Last time, right, when the TVL was up here, you're seeing, well, what was it, 9.3 billion. Last time the volume was at 9.3 billion. Again, we was at 4.9 in terms of DEX volume. So you see over here, 3.7, 3.3, but yeah, we're still at a very high TVL. You see over here, you're having levels of DEX volume at 5 billion, levels of DEX volume at 4 billion. We're seeing, obviously, volume goes as high as 4.2. Obviously, when we get more closer to Trump, we're seeing volumes of 35 billion, etc. Like crazy, crazy, crazy numbers. So that suggests to me that even though we're still at highs in terms of price, there's a lot of people who are thinking similar to me and are slightly risk off. Now, this might be because of the meta shift, which I'm going to explain later on, but I do think that this is something to be aware of. Now, does that mean that there isn't money in the trenches? Of course not. There is life-changing money in the trenches for those of you guys who understand the meta and how to play the meta. So, with that being said, you now understand how to design your portfolio. You understand that when we're in extreme fear, you should probably start bidding. At the times when nobody's talking about crypto, Twitter's absolutely dead. People are saying that we're going into the bear market and getting crazy amounts of views. Rug videos are all-time high, right? Stuff that we've recently experienced. And then when we get to where we are now, which is we're starting to see 20 mil runners, multiple runners, crazy amounts of P&Ls, people making money, which is great. That's when you have to start actually becoming risk off. You actually have to start moving opposite. And it's going to give you a lot of empowerment in this, even if you only have $1,000 portfolio. If you can keep that $1,000 while everybody else is losing that $1,000, it's going to give you a big advantage in the future. Slow and steady is what's going to win your race in this crypto. And that's coming from me, right? I am very similar to Gainsey. I'm an absolute degenerate, right? I love making money. It's a thrill. It's the best game that you can ever play. However, I have started to understand that slow and steady wins the race, right? I'm going to be in this space for another 20, 30, 40 years. I'm going to be in space for a long, long time, right? That's like 5 times longer than I've been in this space. So that means that compound interest is going to play its effect, right? Win or not, right? I can still live a great life. I can still fly wherever I want to. I'm still light years ahead of anyone else in this space. That's how you should be feeling right now. Again, even if you've only made a few $1,000s, you have the ability to make money at your fingertips. Other people have to go to a job and get a salary forever. You might have a job and you might be like, well, wow, I've made $500 today, and that's more than what I'd make in a week. You have that power. So don't give it away and give it back to the casino, right? So that's step 1, right? That's section 1 explained. Now we have to explain the new meta and understand how to play it. I am playing this new meta a little bit different. Previously, you have seen on my YouTube channel, if we have a look over here, on April the 26th, right here, I made a video and I told you guys very simply that we are going into a new stage of the cycle. My next largest investment is Candle TV. I think that this is going to be a launchpad saga. I think that when we look at ChainGPT, DAOmaker, CD5, Paid Network, PokerStarter, all of those tokens, they went very, very high in terms of market cap. In fact, they went to over 300 mil market cap. What happened next? Well, after that, little to my surprise, and I didn't enter this trade. I can't believe I didn't enter it because I was so focused on Candle TV. But you can see Launchcoin launched on May, about a few weeks later, 2 weeks later, and ran up to where $300 million market cap. It's not going to be the last. This isn't the last launchpad, guys. Number one, it's a signal that's coming towards the end of the cycle, but it's also a very good time to make money because launchpads are the meta. They were the meta in altcoins. They also became the meta in NFTs. And now it's becoming the meta in meme coins. People have realized, and I can't fucking believe that Paid Network, PokerStarter, CD5 didn't innovate what they already had and started doing this. But these platforms have, and they have made absolute killer bank. And they've topped off at 300 million. We also seen the same meta in the bonk side of things and Radium. So this gives us an opportunity. It gives us an opportunity to simply take advantage of this. Meaning, I will no longer be max bidding 1% supply of meme coins anymore. The risk to reward ratio doesn't make sense. What I'll be doing instead, as I'm a quote unquote whale, I'll be just trading leverage on the overall ecosystem. At my stage now, and as you see, as you level up, as what you should be doing, guys, as you level up through the game, you have to start playing a different role. Wait, right here. You might start off on new creations. You only trade new creations of like 0.1 sol. You might then move over to playing like metas and playing graduated tokens and trading super heavy. Then you move on to leveling up and playing ecosystems, in my opinion. And I think over here is like just LP. You just slap 500 grand in fart coin LP and just take the fees. That's kind of how I'm feeling about the meta right now. Because if you're playing this game here and everybody else is playing a smaller game, like 0.1, 0.5, etc., and you're coming in and blasting 10 sol, they're going to sell on you. You're the exit liquidity. If you're coming in this game and you're buying 1% supply of tokens, but then you have no information on these tokens, and these tokens are rugs, you're going to go through high variance. Some days you're going to make $100,000. Other days you're going to lose $100,000. Right? If you're coming into this game, it makes sense. Bet on the ecosystem. Right? Just put, instead of buying 1% supply and spending 20 grand here, put 20 grand in launch coin instead on a leverage trade from any amount, and you're making a few hundred grand. It's simple. Okay. That's my mentality now at this stage of the market. Have a huge bag of USDC, of stable coins, and then bid the ecosystems instead of bidding and gambling on the new creations. You can still do it. I'm still going to do it, but I'm not going to bid large amounts anymore. Right? That's the mentality. It's the next wave of it. And it's the same thing you can do at any level. Remember, if you want to get to the larger levels, if you want to get to these levels, you have to understand them and maybe play them before you get there. So let's say we have Launchcoin. We know that Launchcoin has a lot of liquidity, a lot of volume, a lot of eyes. The FUD is simple. People can't snap their own supply. So if you launch a Launchcoin project, if you don't know what Launchcoin is, by the way, it's a launchpad platform that allows you to launch new meme coins simply from a tweet. So you can have like a Web2 company, and then you can attach a tweet to that company, and that's going to give you a coin. And these coins have been running up absolutely crazy, diabolical numbers. So what you want to do, and they've made a lot of money, a lot of money. So what you want to do is bid the ecosystem. You can, instead of holding a bag of, let's say, 100 SOL, instead of holding 100 SOL, you can shift that SOL to Launchcoin, for example. And you can see that if you did this around about the early stages, you would be up 500 SOL at all-time high, maybe like 300 SOL now. If you did this literally yesterday, you would be up 120. This is kind of the mindset that we're looking at. You can still set stop losses for those larger bags. You can also, number two, is provide liquidity for these projects as well. Now, if you provide liquidity for these projects, you can actually make a lot of money as well. I'll give you an example. If we go over here and we go to Meteora, if you want to learn how to provide Meteora LP, you can actually find a tutorial for that inside of my private community. You'll find a link for that in the description if you want to learn more about crypto. But you can see over here, 24-hour fees. You're getting about a 5% return every 24 hours on this. Now, some people say, oh, well, 5%. Don't forget the power of compound interest. You're getting a 5% return daily. You can reinvest that daily. You're also getting the upside of the token and of the ecosystem. If you did this in the early days, you would have made crazy amounts of money while the volume was extremely high. You can see here that the volume was peaking out towards its tops. You can also see here, volume, and the volume right now is low. So it's 5% here. It was probably 15, 20% daily here, and 15, 20% daily here as well. Not to mention that you're going to have less risk by exiting your positions. So we're going to provide LP. We're also going to look to size in to the major main runners. There's two main things that we're looking to do. Again, guys, you can do this with small amounts of money. You can do this with big amounts of money. You can do it with leverage as well, which is the third and final thing that we're going to be doing with these metas. We're going to be looking to leverage trade the meta. So before, when I used to leverage trade, I used to sit down at my computer every day. I have a list of different charts, and I will go through those charts and try and make money from them. Let's say you have BTC, Ethereum, AVAX, Solana, Jupiter, etc. What I now realize is there is more of an advantage and an edge if you are leverage trading the meta. So for example, I'll look at the meta being Radium launches, because we have Launchcoin and all of the launch coins go onto Radium. I'll look at the meta as Launchcoin and Bonk. This is the current meta right now. So it's more likely that Bonk is going to have some type of reversal from here than it is for I know, and a ton, for example. Even though you might look at ton and say, okay, it's breaking out, it has a decent chart structure. Just in terms of the chart, I don't think so. Even in terms of like a chain link, for example, I'm bullish on chain link. I think chain link's great, but chain link isn't the meta right now. Yes, it might go and perform very, very well. I do think Chainlink, of all the tokens, is probably one of the best. But I personally think, in terms of having an advantage on the markets, being inside of the trenches, we know where the real volume is at. We know that there's real volume on Launchcoin. We know that there's real volume on Bonk. So that's the current meta to trade. When the meta was Trump, you guys seen, I did like a $35,000 long on Trump. So I made $35,000 on Trump in a day from simply longing it because we've seen the announcement come out. We've seen the announcement come out. We're in the trenches. Okay, cool. Instead of ignoring it, I went and long Trump. I made a lot of money from it. Right? This is the type of mentality that I'm going for. We've seen a similar thing with Mudeng. So if you have a look at Mudeng, I'll pull it up over here. If you're new, by the way, this website's called TradingView. I know I get a lot of comments about it. You can see over here, Mudeng again. Also a crazy, crazy runner. Crazy runner. I think this thing did like a 5 or 6x from the lows. Yeah, the 5x from the lows. 10x leverage, that's a 50x from the lows. But maybe you're not going to be able to hit it every single time. Maybe you long it over here. Maybe you long it on a breakout of the highs. Right? Maybe you short it when we come back into range. These are the types of things that I am now starting to look at. And it all starts from the meta. We're meme coin traders on this channel. If you've been watching my channel for a long time, it's like you're a meme coin trader as well. So we're going to start to put a lot more time and attention into the perps trading side of meme coins and of the ecosystem around the meme coins too. When tokens start getting listed on Mexi, instead of just saying like, oh great, that's the time to sell my bag, maybe look at putting on some leverage positions on them. So similar thing for Jupiter. I also think that Jupiter is a key part of this ecosystem, and it is one of the few tokens which is actually ran. Jupiter has Jupiter trenches. Most people still trade through Jupiter as well. It's a no-brainer why this thing should have a run-up. And every other token has had a run-up to the 2618 apart from Jupiter. So again, I do think Jupiter being a short-term play is a good bet now in terms of ROI. Makes more sense having your Solana bag in Jupiter than it does having your Solana bag in Solana, because I doubt Solana is going to run to those levels, but it's highly likely that Jupiter could run to those levels instead. Similar thing, when we start seeing BNB run, then you just go, you bid Mumbarak BNB tutorial. Very simple. When you see ETH start running in the ETH ecosystem, then you start to look at Pepe coin, for example. That's the type of mentality that we're going to start to look for inside of the trenches. Okay. Now, the final thing is starting to look at the metas. So we see that some of the main metas were launch coin. We're also seeing a pump fund launch coin meta as well. So we have pump launch. Maybe this starts to emerge as a future meta as well. If it does, I'm going to give it a whole day. I don't care where it runs. I'm going to let it chill for the whole day, because we know that the founder of Pump Fund is a max extractor. We'll get into that shortly. So we should never max bid these projects on day one, in my opinion. I'm not max bidding Pump Fund projects on day one at all. Now, we wait, we give it a day, we let the meta appear. It might be Corey, right? It might be animal meta might become the thing. We have to, again, give it a day, see how it goes, see how it progresses. Whatever the main meta decides to be is where we're going to start to place our bets. Then once the meta reveals itself, we then go and we bid all the metas on leverage trades. And we also provide liquidity for the main coins. You only have to do it for a few days. You're going to be able to make a lot more money off of the larger, more liquid tokens than sitting on new creations and trying to bid the beta plays. Beta plays and scalps, what I'm going to be doing nowadays is I'm going to be putting a lot smaller amounts of Solana. So I'm looking at keeping a small amount of Solana, and I'm going to be bidding that Solana. I'm just trying to flip it to 10 sol, 20 sol, 30 sol, whatever a day, withdrawing that, putting that in USDC, and then rinse and repeating the exact same thing. Instead of going for the big wins like we were before, 20K, 50K, 100K P&Ls, I'm going to pride myself on consistently gaining small amounts of trades daily, long term. And I feel like a lot of people will have a lot more success inside of the trenches doing this. Instead of waiting to see if Geikie makes another 500,000, just make a scalp on it and keep it moving, right? Geikie has the advantage, right? He buys off this wallet, buys the tokens up here, buys on his main wallet, sells his initial investment off a different wallet, and then lets the rest ride. It doesn't matter what happens, right? That's what you call an advantage on the market. It's an edge. You don't have that luxury. So you have to take advantage of what you have. Trenching, in my opinion, should be a way of gathering information, understanding the meta, and making daily money. You can make more money a day in the trenches than you ever can in a 9 to 5. It's still, whether the market is at 100K BTC, whether the market's at 50K BTC, you're still going to be able to make more money inside the trenches, in my opinion, than you are going to be inside of a 9 to 5. Biggest advantage you're ever going to have, you have to take advantage of it as you can. But instead of donating back to the casino when you make a lick, look for the overall narrative, look for the overall meta. Next, I'm also changing my filters. I've started to remove Pump Fund from my filters, and I've started to focus on Launch Lab, Boop, and Dynamic Bonding Curve Meteora. The reason being, and I made a big presentation on this earlier, but I'll explain this to you very simply. Launch Lab stands for Web 2. This is Web 2 founders coming into Web 3. Now, I know a lot of people are hating on this, and personally, I do think there has been a lot of value extraction from the market. However, it does remind me of the Jelly saga, and we have to remember that these were the tokens that were sending to 200 mil. Like it or not, we need Web 2 founders coming into Web 3 because it's going to give us more to bid. It's more than an animal coin. It's more of a narrative. The only thing is Launchcoin needs to stop with this, delayed tweet, and they need to allow founders to accumulate supply. I.e., this is why I do think that Candle still has a chance, even though I don't hold the token anymore. I still think that Candle has a chance because it solves this problem. But it's a battle of who solved the problem first. Typical. Then we have Pump Fund. Pump Fund is the degen chain. Pump Fund is where, again, you mainly want to scalp. There is nothing on this chain anymore where you can have any level of conviction on anything. The reason is because we have the typical play of beta play or the vamp play or the like OG play. So what happens is when you have a main runner, you have multiple of these other coins and these communities which will launch other separate coins and extract value. So instead of trying to compete with this, you have to adapt. Just scalp all of them. When you see a main coin running, go on new creations, buy all the side coins, and then go and find the OG coin, buy that too. Make money on all 4 of these coins, get out. Extract your 20 sol, 30 sol, move on. I know you're only going to remember the times when you missed the coin and it ran to 20 mil, but you're going to forget quickly about all the coins that you bought during that day that are now at 0. Stick with this mentality, you're going to have success. Next, we have Bonk. Bonk is another degen chain. The only difference is it has KOL backing, and in my opinion, the founder is a lot better than the Solana founder. Bonk team has been working very, very well. They do a lot of developing and a lot of improving on the ecosystem. Pump Fund hasn't innovated for ages, and on top of that, Pump Fund, as well as many other platforms, while you are trading and holding Solana, let's say you have your Phantom wallet over here, it looks all pretty, you have, 2 grand of Solana in there. So you've got 2K of Solana just sitting there. While that Solana is sat there, Pump Fund's making all this money from fees and then market selling that Solana on your head top. Pump Fund has market sold over $100 million of Solana and have not put anything back into any of the charts on their Pump Fund token. This to me is going to be the downfall of Pump Fund, not reinvesting back into the ecosystem while you see Bonk and Launchcoin continue to improve. Remember, guys, When we seen PokerStarter dominate the market, all the other launch pads, slowly but surely, took all their volume. When we seen Bing dominate the market, everybody thought Bing would last forever. Google came along. When we seen everything else do well for delivery, we then seen Amazon come along, dominate the market. Sometimes competition isn't the best thing that you want as a business. You actually, what they should have done is brought out Launchcoin, right, and made friends with Radium. But instead, I think Pump Fund may see their demise. Now, we also see Candle TV. Candle TV is the dark horse in this operation. I do think still, again, like I said, even though I got rid of the tokens, I still think they do have a chance. My thing is just to wait and see whether they decide to take advantage of it or whether they are doomed by time. Because speed is everything, right? And if you are fast, you make money. If not, the market will catch up to you. So I do think there is a lot of market share and availability for this to grow. So that's my thoughts, right? You have to remember Launchcoin, Pump Fund, Bump. Now, finally, we have to understand how we can actually put all of this together, all of this information together into a step-by-step action plan on making money. So if you want to do this and this has intrigued you, I recommend having a look at new creations and graduated and having a daily goal and target that you want to hit inside of the trenches. So you always want to have about 100 times whatever you're risking. And I understand when you start just having a 9 to 5 and a job, you're not going to be able to manage that type of risk. So you might only want to have 20 times, but you want to only bid a very small amount of risk compared to what you have. If you're making $1,000 or $3,000 a month, you should only really be risking like 1/3 of that inside of the trenches. Then your larger bags of Solana that you are making from day-to-day trenching, you want to look to bid the overall ecosystems when you have an information advantage. When you find out that Radium have launched a new platform with Bonk and it's catching huge amounts of volume and it's doing more volume than Pump Fund, instead of just acknowledging that and going back to new creations to look at what's bonding and what, I don't know, Cupsy's buying, right? Look at bidding the overall ecosystem. Bid Radium, 3x leverage, 10x leverage. Bid Launchcoin, etc. For example, when you see that Fartcoin whales are going crazy and Fartcoin's breaking out, don't just acknowledge it, long it, and make money on the way up. Even now, while people are quiet about Fartcoin, just wait for a reset. Wait for us to come back to $1 or wait for us to come back to like 1.1. Bid the dips. Bid the dips. Stop spending all of your time focused on new coins. Look at how you can make more money, extracting value from the overall ecosystem. Same thing. When you see Launchcoin come and you see Launchcoin projects doing well, go and bid the ecosystem. Okay? So that's your routine. Scalp short, bid the ecosystems. And then what you want to do is every single day, you want to start looking at Bitcoin, analyzing the price of Bitcoin, setting alerts on TradingView by right clicking and setting alerts like this. And you also want to keep a very close eye on the fear and greed. Once we start to get into extreme greed, I know during this time, you're going to see 20 million, 50 million, 100 mil runners. That's great. You can scalp them. You can provide liquidity for them. You can bid them on leverage. You can still make money from them. But in terms of your overall portfolio, you want to be risk off because Binance is going to be selling their BNB on your head top. So Pump Fund is going to be selling their Solana on your head top. Trump's going to be liquidating his positions on them. Politicians are going to be liquidating their positions on your head top. Don't be the exit liquidity at this stage. Pull your money out, keep it on the side while it's over here. When it's in extreme fear, that's when you start DCAing again. And during this stage, guys, look, people will always say, we're going to go lower. And what happens is we bounce. They'll always say here, guys, we're going to go lower. And what happens is we bounce. Then we go, oh, we're going to go lower. Right? And what happens is we bounce. And we go, oh, we're going to go lower. And then what happens is we're going to a full-blown bull market. So it's going to happen again. We're going to see pullbacks naturally. We already seen the pullback. And what did people say? We're going to go lower. Well, what happened is we bounced. We didn't just bounce. We bounced to all-time highs. When we was over here, everybody said, we're going to go lower, we're going to go lower. And it's hard because price doesn't move, right? For a whole month of April, price barely did nothing. And then May comes and we blast it off. The same will happen again. Right now, the price is still, we're probably going to nuke, right? And then what people are going to say, we're going to go lower, right? Don't trust it. With your overall portfolio, bid the dips, bid the extreme fear, sell the extreme greed. Now you have a full routine that you can use, that you can leverage to have success in this market. Nobody else is going to tell you this stuff. They're always going to tell you, keep buying, keep gambling, just keep clicking. You're one trade away, etc. from insider players that they're making and making money from. But I'm here to show you how you can actually make money long term, how you can just be patient, make money throughout the bull markets, even throughout the bear markets, guys. Bear markets, you can still make money. You can still make opportunities out there, especially with where the cycle's at now. I guarantee the bear market, you're still going to see 10, 20 more winners. So if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comment section below. I also have a full tutorial to help you figure out your perfect style of trading as well. You can find that. The link for that is in the description. I appreciate you guys. Keep winning. I'll see you in the trenches. Something is happening right now inside of the markets. And if you are not aware of this, you don't change it, you could risk losing everything and giving everything back that you've worked so hard for inside of the crypto markets. My name's Tyrell and